Jason Cook joins me here today, and you can learn and make a connection by heading over to LinkedIn and look for Jason Cook. I'm going to have that as a clickable link in the show notes. Appreciate your time here today, Jason.
Good to be with you, Jack.
This has to have been some sort of business that you fell into, like accidentally. Like this, or was this on purpose?
Yeah. Sometimes I question why and how did this happen? Like, how did I find myself here? Well, everybody just loves insurance companies and car warranties. Like, they're just the best to work with, right? Honestly, it's pretty funny. I don't love insurance companies particularly. And some fun experiences there, like
Yeah,
most people do.
how could you? It seems like I think most people would hear the truth in this. You just seem to s- pay out your monthly bill and not seeing a lot of return other than when you give them a call, you get the pleasure of listening to them dance around why you don't qualify for coverage.
That's right. It's frustrating, honestly. Like, that's something that we're trying to address and see how to give homeowners the best experience possible. But I get ahead of myself a little bit. But yeah, home warranty, it's it's a challenging business. And from the get-go, it seemed like it was going to be pretty simple and straightforward. But yeah, maybe I'll just start from the get-go, from the beginning. Does that work?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, well, I grew up in Utah and my family traveled around. We lived in Central and South America for a little bit and then over in Europe. But we would keep coming back to Utah as kind of a landing point. I went to college and got a degree in family science. Thought I was going to do marriage counseling, and now I'm realizing I'm doing more employee counseling, which is maybe it's coming in handy now, finally, my degree. I worked for Adobe for 8 years doing sales in the channel space. Wanted to start my own business, but I didn't know how. Maybe I'll just go through just rapid fire, like the next series of events, just each of the bullet points. I worked at Adobe for 8 years, and then I worked on a real estate team doing lead generation and helped grow one of our state's largest real estate teams and doing lead generation events. How do you generate referrals from events? In that space is where I got to know all of the partners, industry leaders in the real estate space. There was an opening in the home warranty industry where there's a major gap and a lot of trust had been eroded away over homeowners in real estate. Their experience over the last 6, 7 years felt like there was a place there for a local company. I built the business off of the feedback that I got from real estate agents. They get to have the perspective of what homeowners experience because homeowners are involving them. They're the ones that happen in the real estate transaction, so they often involve the realtor. They are the ones who actually know the ins and outs of the home warranty industry and were able to give me some pretty good perspective and be able to build out how I wanted this business to run and how we were going to market it. So that's been my story. And it's been a wild ride because home warranties, they're not easy. And you need a lot of volume for the business to make sense and to be able to grow and scale the business. So those are just the main bullet points. Anything
Yeah.
I should like hone in on, like the solo
Well,
aspect?
let's start with the real estate lead generation part of it because that seems like it's probably a parallel work there when you say you need quite a few leads for home warranty. You needed quite a few leads for any kind of real estate endeavor, the way you were
Yeah.
talking about too. So, what did
Yeah.
you learn from that position that you brought to what you're doing today?
Yeah. So the team I was on, we had 4 agents. We grew it up to 20, 25 agents when I left. And my month to month rhythm was 1,100 to 1,200 leads a month were coming into the team to be able to give each of the reps, each of the real estate agents enough opportunities to have the conversations, to hone in on the skills on how to set an appointment. And then from that skill to being able to navigate the conversation of landing the listing appointment or landing the agreements, the buyer broker agreements, etc. And so I would say that some of the skills that I focused on in real estate were related to events. So in person, that's a huge one. I really believe with the onslaught of AI to our email boxes and text feeds, that it will revert back more towards an in-person, that I'm going to trust the people that actually are around me that I can communicate with, because who am I actually talking with, right? And who's on the other end of this? And so the in-person, I would say the events that we would do, customer satisfaction, VIP events. So high producers, as far as those who referred us more than once a year, we would do a specific event for them as a way of thanking them, involving them, and helping them remember that it's because you are keeping us top of mind and sending us your friends and family. It allows us to stay in business and to operate and to give great customer service. And that's what helps keep people top of mind, so that they will refer their agent time and time again. And that's actually a really hard thing to do, because there's plenty of agents out there that only have one lead generation lever, which is, oh, let me call my sphere. Let me do this social media post. They got one lead generation lever, and those are the most precarious businesses out there. Though you don't know it because it's worked to date, but it might not work in 2 years from now or 3 years from now. And so when I mentor agents and talk with them about, tell me about your lead generation levers and what are you doing to accelerate your business and meet your goals? And more often than not, they only have one, sometimes two, but you really should have 6 or 7. Just go to, if I do this activity, I know that business will come. And it isn't always just the for sale by owners, expires, open houses. There's a lot of sources to generate leads in real estate. So those translated over into the home warranty space, because a lot of what we do is in person. We're at the brokerages. We're helping and assisting them and making sure that they have the information that they need when they need it. But then also it's just access and availability, so that they know that we're the kind of people that are going to answer our phones, not just during the working hours, but even on the weekends. If they have a question about an inspection that came in, that they need to have an understanding of, oh, do I need to write a counter offer to the seller to get this taken care of? Or is this something actually that the home warranty would cover? So those are a couple of things that have translated over, but I do have a passion for lead generation in my own space, but also in real estate, because they really do go hand in hand. There's homeowners, they're the ones that need to buy a home, and they need to be educated on how to navigate buying and selling. And so real estate agents, so the skilled ones, do an excellent job, and it shows because they're doing 80% of the business. And it's the onesie twosie agents that I think are having to get out of the business now. And we have interest rates as high as they are, and homeowners are struggling to afford a new payment.
So one of the things that I would find interesting is to understand, when you decided to do home warranties, it's not the most glamorous and exciting product in the world. And it probably took you a while to ramp up. Was there ever a period of time where you started to wonder whether this was worth it and this was the path you should stay on?
You're right. When seeing the real estate partners, there's so many. It's the one that I probably least wanted to be involved in, but it was the one that presented the greatest opportunity, because it's service-based, right? And I don't particularly have plumbing skills, electrical skills, or HVAC skills, but I do have interpersonal skills and technology, and home warranty is really heavy on both of those. So communication, interpersonal skills, and then technology to be able to, the flow of leads that come through, that create policies, that manage claims, that have contractors, and there's emails and things like that whole network. So yes, there were many times when I questioned that I did not know that, oh, being a business owner is leading me here and I'm having to fire somebody because they're drinking at work.
Mhm.
But I'd say the things that I've enjoyed the most have been around my own personal growth and development. And the things that led me into being an entrepreneur are not the things that are keeping me here. I have an awesome team, and they have families, and we have thousands of customers that rely on us to make sure when they have questions that they can call in and get things taken care of that we pay for. And so now all of a sudden, just my perspective is broadened to include a lot larger village. And I found a lot of joy in that, knowing that we could problem solve. And today we took care of a homeowner who had no hot water, and now they do. then it's just a little thing. When something like one of those creature comforts goes away, people can get upset. They can get pretty heated on the phone sometimes. And when they think they're talking to a multi-billion-dollar insurance company, they're going to come often with guns blazing, and we're going to help out as best as we are able. And we go above and beyond when we can and when we have those resources and tools. The home warranty industry, I would say, just from a personal perspective, it's been lonely because I don't have home warranty owner peers that I can talk to. What I've noticed that I wasn't expecting to be involved in is related to, I've realized that the more I can give and the more that I can be available to provide perspective, it brings clarity and vision so that those that I'm involved with know, oh, yeah, he's operating the business the best way he knows how. And that makes a lot of sense. I would probably do it the same way. The more that I can actually open my mouth and share why we do what we do and how we operate and how we're selling what it is that we do, the more people realize, oh, these are people that I can trust. And they're the kinds of people that actually I would want to be in business with because we're doing it the right way. And it's not always easy to walk that line of, okay, here's our contract, but hey, here's a situation where there's this single mom and she just did everything she could to get in this house. And there's a situation where we have an elderly person who's without hot water. Home warranty companies often cover those things that insurance companies do not. So your appliances like your fridge and your oven, stoves, microwave, your plumbing, electrical, and furnace and air conditioning units, those are typically what's in the foundation of the home, the items that are covered. And so we have network of independent contractors that will go out and give us a diagnosis, and then they can fix it on the spot. We always focus on trying to get things repaired. If we can't repair them, then we replace them.
Right. This is something that's particularly interesting because I think a lot of real estate investors, this can possibly help with your capital expenditures
Yeah.
because one of the things that you experience with, especially if you have a single family home rental, you might be earning, let's say, roughly $300 a door. The air conditioner goes out and it blows your cash flow for
Yeah.
6 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you work regularly with investors
Yeah,
in this regard?
we work with builders, small and large, usually not too large. The largest ones usually have their own warranty department, but the smaller ones, we work with those. They have usually a 1-year warranty that covers the things in the home. And often they'll either purchase or the real estate agent will help bundle up into the contract, a warranty. And we cover years 2, 3, and 4 so that they have a good chunk of years that they're going to have some coverage if there's questions when they're moving into this house. We also work with property management companies. So they have these doors and they're trying to get things covered quickly. We have some handyman and we have other contractors that just being able to reach out to our network quickly. Here's a problem, who can take it and get things solved. We're getting pretty good at doing same day and even next day, where the industry standard for home warranty is actually 6. So we're really stretching that. And it's easy to do that when we're small, but if we get too large, I imagine that will be a little bit more of a burden, but that's kind of where we're at today.
You've scaled this business as on your own. You don't have a partner. I don't know how big your team is, but can you talk a little bit about any kind of practical strategies or lessons learned when being an entrepreneur and scaling a business like this?
Yeah, I'd say a couple things that come to mind. Well, I'd been an employee for 15 years. There's nothing wrong with being an employee, but I outgrew it and I got into a place where I was very uncomfortable and looking at the future, what I wanted to achieve in life. I have 6 children. I'm a really good father for 3 of them, and I wanted a better father for all of them. And time is usually the thing that you're trying to buy back. And so I knew I really wanted to start a business so that I could get to that space. And so the reason I start there is I didn't have the skills and know-how on how to start a business and to have it in a place where it's not, because I knew business owners that they worked way harder than anybody else I knew. But then I also saw other business owners that had been able to buy back their time. And that was the kind that I wanted to get to as quickly as possible. For me, the thing that helped me move, that gave me a lot of energy behind, was actually just a pro forma, like a financial pro forma that I had worked over 20, 30 hours to poke as many holes in as possible. And I built out this formula of, if I do X, Y, and Z, if in 1 year from now, I'll have $100,000 in my bank account. And at that point, I usually had between 3 and 5,000. And so we were living pretty paycheck to paycheck kind of scenario. And seeing that in 1 year, if I do this consistently, put my head down, I'd already worked 15, 17 years in the industry being an employee. And so 1 year, if I could give that up, and in 1 year I'd have 100 grand and I'd have 2 employees, I thought, ooh, that's kind of exciting. Like, there's only one way to find out how that plays out, and that is actually doing it. And so that got me pretty excited. That really helped me realize, okay, if I can have this many conversations in a week, I'll have this many people that will commit to sending this business. And out of that group, probably 60% will actually send me business. And so I worked that, my own conversion and my own pipeline over and over again until I got it honed in. And I just knew 2 commitments a day, 2 commitments a day. And that is it. Actually, year to date, from when I started it, I had $110,000 in my bank account. I was able to write a $10,000 check to my first investor who believed in me, which felt pretty great, honestly. But entrepreneurs, the things that they struggle with in scaling a business, for me, the other thing would be finding the people that are going to help me do it. I think that's one of the biggest lies that I think people believe, is that I can do it all on my own. And yes, there's an element of, you can have a business that you can do all on your own. The one that I wanted was one that I was able to work myself out of a job where I was now buying back my time, where I could be with my family more. And that was going to require high quality people who are responsible, who they come to work and they're going to do it the right way, and they're not going to cut corners. And there's a group of people below that that don't do work that way. And I had a few of those that I had to kind of work out. And you don't really know who those are until they actually butts in the seat and we're working together and communication's going one way and reality's shifting a different way. And so to get to a place now where I have all of the people in the seats that are just doing it the way that I would do it, or 80% of the way, because they can't do it 100% the way that I would do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, hiring the kind of people that are going to do it the right way is hard. And it takes a lot of time and attention and focus, and work with enough people who aren't that way to find the people that are, and then also paying them what it's worth to have them. And it definitely is, if that's what you're looking for. So it was kind of a long-winded answer, Jack, but thanks for queuing that one up.
No, I appreciate the insight. And just to remind everybody, if you found some value in what we're talking about so far, the only way this show grows is if you share it with one of your investor friends. So please do that. And if you're watching us on YouTube, give us a like and subscribe. If you would like to connect directly with Jason, head over to his LinkedIn page. It is Jason Cook. I'm going to have that as a clickable link in the show notes so you can find him easily there. But a quick direct message there goes a long ways. So
Awesome.
one of the things that I think was really interesting, Jason, and frankly, I don't think a lot of people do that, is plan out, do kind of a business plan. But when I say that, is like you picked a dollar amount and then you've calculated backwards as to how many people do I need to convert on a daily basis, and that it makes $100,000 a year more. You're eating the elephant one bite at a time, and it's 2 people a day in a person's mind is far more achievable than that big $100,000 elephant.
Yeah. I think it's a struggle for a lot of people. I know it was for me to commit to something like that, and to follow through on something that I have to be that consistent day after day, week after week, month after month, and that they adopt that habit as well. And in the middle of all that, I'm feeling good. Things are going well. I'm not feeling well. Things are not going well. But even when I'm not feeling well, or something difficult happens at home or at work, I'm still having to I will hold to this 2 people a day. And it's easy to let go of that. It's easy to drop it. Everybody knows a few real estate agents who the feast and famine, right? They do all the lead generation and then they get tons of business and then they stop the lead generation and then they get to the famine stage. And for real estate investors, there's such a variety of them, but having the consistency of what it is that you're trying to accomplish and then who, if not me, is going to do those on a daily basis.
You had mentioned that you were in the corporate world for like 15 years. What was the biggest challenge from changing your mindset from an employee to an owner?
Oh man, there's a few that come to mind. One thing I didn't realize how much I loved being able to clock out at 5 o'clock. I really liked that. I didn't know that I liked it at the time though. But when you're a business owner, you're on all the time. And when something blows up, you can't expect others who have clocked out to carry the weight of that. I would say the mindset of I care outside of what this is going to do for me personally. And I'm not going to control the outcomes, and that I can just sit in a space of giving and helping an employee, helping a real estate agent, helping a homeowner who's having a struggle and not letting it affect my mood. That's been difficult. And I think I've been given a lot more opportunities to experience that. And so it used to affect me a lot and now it doesn't. And so I would say strength came to me, not because I sought it out particularly, but because it's just kind of the nature of the work that I want to have a happy life and I don't want to take home baggage with me when I go home. Though I do. I try not to, but it is definitely, it's gotten better than it where it's been.
Do you leverage any kind of strategies or techniques to kind of keep things separate?
I have about a 20-minute commute. And so that's usually my meditation moment where I might roll the window down, listen to music and stop thinking about work intentionally. Like I have to literally leave it behind, and a lot of deep breathing and make sure that my thoughts are quiet. I get ramped up like a spring that gets real tight. I have to learn how to unwind that. And that's usually through deep breathing and meditation. One of the most impactful things that has been most helpful in my life is meditation, because I've always hated meditation. Like I think a lot of people do, but it's a tool. And if we don't learn how to use the tool, then it gets out of hand and it starts running rampant and creates a lot of emotion and inner stress and worry that doesn't need to exist.
One of the things that I read on your page here is you talk quite a bit about authenticity and transparency. Can you talk about how you leverage or use that in your business and how maybe it helps you even sustain and scale?
Yeah. I would say it's one of the deeper philosophical principles that I decided to test out as far as starting a business, that the most stable structure is one that people can rely and have trust on, not just from a sales perspective, like with selling, but even from an employee standpoint. Is I'm going to keep the kinds of people that are authentic and honest and hardworking when they see me doing and being that way. And so if I allow that correction in my own personal life or into how I operate at work, where I'm prioritizing money over people, which I think we've seen through the pandemic, that's been a major feature, that the trust in organizations is at all-time low, like all kinds of organizations. And so the only way to turn that back, the tide, is to operate from a place of trust and authenticity. And so we gather facts, we gather insights on what people say, and then we communicate together as a group. Here's what I'm seeing. Are we wrong in how we're viewing this? And this is the best way forward. Do you all agree? And sometimes we don't all agree, but at least we're having the conversation, and that we're not making choices just based off of our own needs or desires or wants, but based off of how reality works, which is I fundamentally believe reality doesn't work when people lie. So we're not going to lie, like period. I'm not going to lie, and others here aren't going to lie. And people are people. And so I've had some hard conversations with people when things come out where, oh, was it quite exactly the way that I said that? But just general coaxing in the direction that the vision that I have is we have to have organizations for structure and for society to work that people trust and rely on. I'd say businesses cannot exist unless there's trust.
No, I want that. That's exactly, it's great that you're willing to share that. Let's get back to the home warranties though, especially around how do you select a provider? Like, let's say you're a real estate investor and you're considering this to help. Like, what type of questions should we be asking to make sure that we have a good provider and that they're on our actually on our team?
Yeah, great question. A few questions that would be good to ask are, do you do a welcome phone call? Do you introduce yourself as a company that you're being paid for? If there's a transaction happening or money's being passed, there's some kind of information that passes. And that doesn't often happen in the home warranty industry. A lot of them like to fly under the radar. They like to not introduce themselves to their client because obviously if they don't know that they have a home warranty, then obviously you're going to capture the most profit. But that gives you a pretty good, for those real estate investors, should give you a good indicator that who you're working with is pretty short-term minded in how they're viewing your customer, because they're only looking at that customer for 1 year. Whereas I think an authentic company is going to provide value year one, and maybe their focus should be on long-term relationship with this customer over their life. Another thing that would be good to ask is, do you have limits? So asking them do you have limits for HVAC, the plumbing, electrical, appliance? Those are good questions. Another one is, who does your contract work? Do you have independent contractors? Do you have in-house people? And how does that work with diagnoses when something comes through? Like, how do you know that that's a pre-existing condition? Was there evidence, or is there industry standards or policies that we could read and look at to show these are the things that show this is a pre-existing condition, or this is normal wear and tear? Those are some good questions to get started to find out maybe the why is that home warranty in business and what's their business model? Like, are they a 1-year company, or are they in it for the long haul? I think what I've seen in my own state is that real estate agents have lost trust in home warranty companies when they don't call their client, when they're not focused on the renewal as one of their primary goals. If they're not doing that, then they probably are flying under the radar and just trying to minimize their claims, and maybe even looking over their contract. If it's long and obscure and difficult to read, that might be a good indicator that they're trying to obfuscate and get out of things that they should be paying.
Sure.
Good questions.
So you mentioned value here. Most people kind of see the home warranty thing as a nice to have. I was going to actually ask you how you can, in your marketing especially, how do you convey the value of a home warranty so that people kind of are a little pre-sold, if you will?
Yeah. It's a hard thing to do, honestly, in our day and age because of the lack of trust in companies. And so how it works is someone has a claim, they call us, and then we send a contractor out, and then they get pleasantly surprised within a day or two. They've got their dishwasher fixed, they got their plumbing leak fixed, their toilet's now running, etc. And it's done in a way that was not the worst thing. That's usually where it starts. And so 1 or 2 of those in a year, we call them for the renewal. And so value, like, we want people to see my time's valuable. They have an awesome network of people that I trust that are coming into my house, that they look like they know what they're talking about, and they talk the talk, and they got the thing done quickly. And that seemed like that was really a pleasant experience. And so value really speaks for itself. And so people renew when they see value. And then when we can just do that consistently year after year, people just want to continue with that renewal and that relationship with us. So people perceive value. We're good at picking up on what value is. Is this worth more than $1? No, it's worth less than $1. Is this worth more or less than $1? Oh, that's worth more than $1. We know what value looks like and feels like. And so when we don't get value, we also know, oh, It's like I didn't capture anything on that.
Hmm.
That's a little bit on the value side. And so I think when you're building a business, when you come from a place of what's the product or service and is it quality and is there value there to something that I appreciate? Is it saving me time? Some people are all going to be about the time aspect. Some people are going to be about penny pinching, right? We all have things that we value. And so when you're creating a company or if you're working with one, you get to know how the value works and if there's value there or not.
Well, before we jump into the rapid fire questions and start closing out this episode, I'd be curious how you have seen or you've advised real estate professionals how they can leverage home warranties to increase their value in what they're offering.
Yep. A good company is going to help you keep you in the loop on claims and on when that renewal is. Real estate agents are always looking for opportunities and reasons to call and to reach out to one of their past clients. The people that are most likely to refer you are the ones that are immediately going through a real estate transaction themselves or have done that in the last year. Forming those relationships and home warranty companies that are helping keep you in the loop on what's happening in that house. It's a great way to reach out. Oh, I heard something happened with your house last week. How did that go with that plumbing leak? Good ones that are really well networked are the ones that stick in the business. They're the ones who have strong foundations and get referrals the most when they're like deeply networked with, and their vision is so broad that includes wedding planners and it includes all groups of people, real estate. The real estate industry is much larger than just real estate agents. Real estate conversations are happening in many, many industries. And those people aren't understanding the value of the conversation that they're having. A photographer who's talking to a newlywed and they're saying, oh, looks like we're getting married and we're going to buy this house or we're thinking of buying, that photographer should be connecting him with a realtor and realtor should be doing the same thing back. Like I've got this person connected and this person connected. And people can, when they realize that you're so well networked, they're going to come to you for those questions and come to you because you know who to talk to and you've vetted people. It's this trust. We trust slowly, but if there's someone that we trust, we're going to trust them and their network as well. And so the more network you can become, the more valuable you become for other people. And you really want that. I think that's what real estate is those kinds of conversations.
Well, this has just been a fantastic conversation, Jason. I'm going to point everybody to your LinkedIn again. Look for Jason Cook. I'm going to have that as a clickable link in the show notes. If you're watching us on YouTube, it's scrolling across the screen right now. Jason, before we dive into the rapid fire and close out this episode, is there anything we should have hit on?
Oh, we've hit on a lot of things. Let's go to the rapid fire.
Okay. What lie do entrepreneurs tell themselves?
Shouldn't. I would say that you can do it all on your own. That's one that you need other people. And you need to be able to communicate. Like that's really what entrepreneur, I think one of the core skills is storytelling and it's doing it with other people. And so the more that you can communicate what you're doing and how you're doing it, what your vision is and getting people to buy in on that vision to the point where they're helping you grow and you're unified and that you're moving in the same direction. Like as an entrepreneur, you know what that feeling looks like. I think it's harder for others to grasp like, I'm feeling this momentum and we're like unified in this approach. And so don't try to do it alone. Talk to more people. Entrepreneurs, if they're young and haven't really started out or they're thinking about getting into it, talk to people who've done it and talk to people who have the skills that you need to acquire. It all comes down to just skill based. Acquire more skills. You acquire more skills, you're going to be successful.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self a piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh, stop waiting for things to change. Just do it. Start acting. Take a step today. I did the paralysis by analysis. I did that for too long. And I didn't need as much information as I thought I did. And I think everybody can just take one step today. What could you read or what could you watch? What could you write down? Who can you talk to today? And it's just little steps like that. And then all of a sudden, maybe you're taking 2 or 3 steps a day. And then pretty soon that milestone that looks so far away isn't that far off. And it's maybe weeks or months away. And so just little steps. That's a huge one.
Do you have a book recommendation?
I finished Atomic Habits. And that's a very well-known one. If you're inconsistent with how you're thinking and how you're feeling from day to day, and you don't master and control your environment and how you start your day, you're going to be all over the place and you probably will not be successful. I think having good habits starts with your morning routine. The other book, Map of Consciousness by David Hawkins, I'm just more and more surprised every day how much the internal battle of what's happening is playing out externally. And so the more I can have good internal awareness, meditation where I'm calming my mind and that I'm open, I really just see myself on this spectrum of there's no wrong level of consciousness, right? So there's all these layers and all of them have their place and their purpose. And so shame and guilt, those are going to hold you back. Those are heavy and weighty, but they have a place. But there's other ones as well. And courage is that middle ground that I think entrepreneurs, you have to just step over into that place of taking responsibility and ownership of your life, your thoughts and feelings and what's happening, what hasn't happened, and to just, you have the ability to make the world better and you can do it today. And so those are great books. Those have impacted me really deeply.
And finally, what single strategy or tool have you implemented that has had the biggest time-saving impact to you or your business?
I'd say the idea, when I talk to real estate investors, they know what this looks like when they work with, let's say, a first-time home buyer who's been a renter for a long time, and then they transition over to being a homeowner. That mindset of what renters do to property and how they think and feel about their life, very different than when they own the home and they own the property and they are making it better and they're making it their own and they're beautifying it because they own it, right? It's theirs. It's an extension of who they are, maybe even of their identity. So just as real estate investors have seen that type of switch in maybe themselves, but in their clients. And then there's even one more above that from someone who has their own 401k being managed, to be able to have those conversations with someone where, do you want to self-direct and do real estate and to be in control of your retirement? Because there's a path for that. And there's education and there's things that as a real estate investor, you know how to do and to help people overcome and to take ownership of that. That's really a different whole mindset. But there's a similarity also from an employee mindset to being a business owner. And so all of these growth steps, they require a complete shift of, I think it's a relationship with responsibility. And often as a kid, it's no fun and nobody wants to do that. But you can get to a place where it's enjoyable and it's a loving, giving act. And that it can just come from a place of, responsibility is good. It's a good thing for me. My responsible Jason's, my wife's loves responsible Jason more than unresponsible, not responsible Jason, or disciplined Jason more than undisciplined Jason. And so that responsibility and discipline come with entrepreneurship, and you got to be ready to carry it and start light, right? Just do the little things. Just start with something real basic, then do that consistently and then do the next. And I think everyone you'll be surprised by walking that path of responsibility and greater discipline, great satisfaction. And the hardest things in life, I would say, are the most valuable. And so that's a pretty good indicator of what that mountain looks like. Is the more disciplined you are walking that mountain, it's uphill. All the good stuff are uphill. That's what I'd end with.
Mm-hmm. Well, I really appreciate your time, Jason. You can find him on LinkedIn. Look for Jason Cook. I'm going to have that as a clickable link in the show notes. Really appreciate your time, Jason. It was great to meet you.
Thanks, Jack. Appreciate your time.